Japan can build a skyscraper that survives one of the most powerful earthquakes in human history. They can run bullet trains so punctual that a delay of 60 seconds becomes national news. They can build cars and electronics so reliable that millions of people trust them without question. But ask a Japanese office worker to send you a digital document, and there's a good chance they'll print it, stamp it with a wooden seal, then feed it into an analog fax machine. No, this isn't a joke. This is the bizarre reality of modern Japan, a country that mastered hardware, but somehow forgot to build software. A country that looks like it's living in 2050 from the outside, yet sometimes feels stuck in 1989 on the inside. This isn't about mocking Japan. It's an honest look at how excellence in one area can trap a nation in outdated practices. Here are 13 areas where Japan remains shockingly behind many peer nations. 1. Japan is still obsessed with fax machines. Imagine explaining this to someone from 1995. 3 decades into the future, one of the world's richest and most technologically sophisticated nations still relies on fax machines. Sounds ridiculous, yet it's true. Government offices use them, hospitals use them, schools use them, corporations use them. Even during the COVID pandemic, health departments in some areas were exchanging critical information through fax machines. As recently as 2025 and 2026, surveys showed that a large majority of public schools still used fax machines in their daily administration. Why? Because fax machines fit perfectly into Japan's bureaucratic culture. They're familiar, they're tangible, everyone knows how to use them. Paper records create physical evidence, phone lines feel secure. Most importantly, the entire system was designed around them. Changing one department isn't enough. You have to change everyone at once, and bureaucracies don't like moving quickly. In many countries, fax machines are museum pieces. In Japan, they're office equipment. 2. The wooden stamp that refuses to die. This little object may be one of the biggest enemies of Japanese digitization, the hanko. A small carved seal that acts as your official signature. Need to open a bank account? Stamp. Signing a contract? Stamp. Submitting paperwork? Stamp. Approving documents? More stamps. At first, it sounds charming, traditional, cultural, almost romantic, until you realize what it does to modern workflows. Imagine working remotely. Your boss emails a document, but it needs your physical stamp. So now you have to travel to the office just to press a piece of wood onto paper. This actually happened to many workers. During the pandemic, employees were commuting simply to stamp documents. The government tried reducing reliance on hanko. Reforms were proposed. Digitization campaigns began, but resistance was enormous because for many Japanese institutions, the stamp isn't just a tool, it's trust, it's authenticity, it's procedure. The system has worked for generations, so why change it? And that's the paradox of Japan. Systems become so reliable that replacing them feels riskier than keeping them. 3. Japan still loves cash. Here's something even stranger. Japan invented the QR code. Yes, the same technology powering millions of digital payments around the world. Yet Japan itself remained deeply attached to physical cash. For years, many people carried wallets packed with coins and banknotes. Family-run shops often accepted only cash. Restaurants required exact change. Small businesses preferred physical money. Even today, cash remains remarkably important in daily life. Compare that with places like South Korea or China. In some cities there, you can survive for months without touching a banknote. In Japan, that's still difficult in many areas. Why? Partly because Japan has extremely low crime. People trust cash. Lost wallets often get returned. Counterfeit money is rare. There was never an urgent need to abandon physical currency. Then there's demographics. Japan has one of the world's oldest populations. Older generations are naturally more cautious about digital banking, fraud, and technological change. And once again, the existing system works. Cash works, so people keep using it. Sometimes innovation doesn't fail because it's bad. It fails because the old solution is already good enough. 4. Japanese websites look like they were built in 1997. This one surprises almost everyone. Visit many Japanese corporate or government websites. You'll feel like you've traveled through time. Dense blocks of text, tiny fonts, multiple columns, bright banners, dozens of links, minimal white space, and websites that somehow look both chaotic and overwhelming. Some pages appear almost untouched since the early internet era. Too many international visitors, they look terrible. But here's the fascinating part. They're not considered terrible in Japan because Japanese design philosophy is different. Western websites prioritize simplicity, clean layouts, minimal distractions, one action at a time. Japanese websites often prioritize information density. The philosophy is simple. More information equals more value. Instead of hiding details, they present everything immediately. It's almost like Tokyo itself. Walk through Shibuya. Neon signs everywhere. Advertisements covering buildings. Information in every direction. It feels crowded, chaotic, yet strangely functional. Japanese websites mirror that environment. To outsiders, it feels like bad design. To many locals, it feels normal. The result? One of the world's most technologically respected countries somehow built websites that still look like the internet's early days. 5. Japan was still using floppy disks until recently. This sounds like an internet joke. It's not. For years, some government procedures still required floppy disks. Floppy disks, the storage technology most people under 20 have never even used. The government finally began phasing out these requirements, but the fact they existed at all shocked the world. How does this happen? Because institutions rarely rebuild systems from scratch. They keep adding layers. One process depends on another, that depends on another. Eventually, replacing one component becomes incredibly complicated. So outdated technologies survive. Not because people love them, but because changing them is expensive and disruptive. Japan became a global symbol of this problem. 6. Digital government services lag behind. Many countries aggressively digitized government services. Estonia became famous for online governance. Citizens can complete numerous official tasks digitally. Japan struggled. Applications often required physical forms, multiple verifications, in-person visits, paper documents. The My Number identification system faced delays and controversies. Digital services improved after the creation of the digital agency, but compared to many advanced economies, progress has been slower than expected. The issue isn't intelligence. Japan has plenty of brilliant engineers. The issue is coordination. Bureaucratic systems built independently over decades don't easily communicate with one another, and fixing them takes years. 7. Japan never became a software superpower. This may be the biggest reason behind many of these problems. Japan dominated hardware. Sony, Nintendo, Canon, Toyota, Panasonic. The country built world-famous products, but software often remained secondary. It was treated as support for hardware, not as the future itself. Meanwhile, America was creating software giants. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Facebook. The global economy shifted. Software began eating the world, and Japan wasn't fully prepared. Cloud adoption lagged. Software startups remained relatively few. Software engineers often lacked the prestige enjoyed by hardware engineers. Many companies continued using old development methods. Perfection was prioritized over speed, stability over experimentation. The result? The country that conquered electronics never became equally dominant in software. 8. Remote work still feels unnatural. The pandemic forced much of the world into remote work. Millions adapted surprisingly quickly. Japan struggled because remote work didn't fit existing systems. Documents needed stamps. Meetings needed physical presence. Managers preferred seeing employees. Corporate culture valued attendance. Even during COVID, some employees continued commuting simply to handle paperwork. Think about that. People entered offices to stamp documents so other people could process the paperwork. The technology existed, but culture wasn't ready. And sometimes culture matters more than technology. 9. Banking can be surprisingly frustrating. Japanese ATMs are wonderful, reliable, efficient, easy to use. The hardware is excellent. The digital experience? Not always. Opening accounts can involve paperwork and in-person visits. Online services can be cumbersome. Identity verification processes may require physical documentation. Fintech innovation arrived later than in many peer countries. Again, the story repeats. Excellent physical systems, slower digital integration. Japan perfected the machine, but often neglected the software behind it. 10. Different systems don't talk to each other. Imagine different government departments speaking entirely different languages. That's essentially what happened. Over decades, ministries and companies built their own systems independently. Different databases, different software, different standards. Sharing information became difficult. COVID exposed these weaknesses. Health reporting sometimes suffered because systems couldn't communicate efficiently. Japan's challenge wasn't lack of technology, it was fragmentation. Lots of good systems, poor integration. 11. Japan doesn't produce enough startups. Silicon Valley thrives on risk. People quit jobs, start companies, fail, try again. Japan's culture developed differently. Stability became highly valued. Lifetime employment, large corporations, predictable careers. Starting a company often seemed riskier and less prestigious. Venture capital remained relatively small compared with America and China. Regulations created barriers. The result? Japan produces incredible engineers, but fewer disruptive software startups than its economic size would suggest. 12. There's a growing digital talent shortage. Japan needs more software professionals, more programmers, more cybersecurity specialists, more AI engineers, but demographics complicate everything. The population is aging, birth rates remain low, the workforce is shrinking. Universities and industry have struggled to produce enough talent to meet demand, and software evolves quickly. Skills become outdated rapidly. The challenge isn't merely education, it's speed. Can institutions adapt fast enough? That's one of Japan's biggest questions moving forward. 13. Many companies still love legacy systems. Around the world, companies aggressively embraced cloud computing. Japan moved more cautiously. Many organizations continued relying on older on-premise systems. Why? Because they worked. Because replacing them involved risk. Because migration costs money. And because Japanese business culture often values stability above disruption. The result is something economists call a digital cliff. A situation where old systems eventually become too outdated to support future growth, and Japan is racing to modernize before reaching that point. The insulation legacy, when success becomes a trap. Here's the fascinating part. Japan didn't fall behind because it lacked intelligence. It fell behind because it succeeded too well. Its internal market was enormously profitable. Its hardware companies dominated the world. Its systems worked. Its institutions were stable. There was no burning platform demanding change. When you're ahead, it's easy to assume you'll remain ahead forever. And that's exactly what happened. The technologies and systems that made Japan incredibly successful in the 1980s eventually became sources of inertia. The world changed. Software became king. Cloud computing transformed business. Digital ecosystems replaced paper workflows. Japan had to adapt later than many of its peers, because being ahead in 1989 came with an unexpected risk. You might accidentally stay in 1989. But don't misunderstand this story. Japan isn't failing, far from it, because hidden beneath these clunky websites, fax machines, and wooden stamps lies one of the most advanced societies ever built. Earthquake-resistant engineering, world-class logistics, extraordinary public safety, remarkably reliable infrastructure, social trust levels many countries can only dream of. That's what makes Japan endlessly fascinating. It's a country where the future and the past somehow coexist, where people can ride a world-famous bullet train, then go home and send a fax, where skyscrapers survive earthquakes, but paperwork still requires a wooden stamp. Japan perfected the tangible world. Now it's learning how to master the intangible one, and the entire world is watching. Because once you look beyond the outdated websites and fax machines, you discover something almost unbelievable. An invisible infrastructure network so advanced that most visitors never even notice it. A system of engineering, logistics, and disaster preparation that borders on science fiction. And once you see it, you will understand why Japan remains one of the most fascinating countries on Earth.